Greens are you maniacs, minds are crimes, and today is sort of like an open discussion when it comes to Double May Cry. So, the whole question of what if Dante and Virgil's positions were switched on the day of the attack on their family home. So, the basic premise of this is very simple. Virgil would be saved by his mother, and Dante would be saved by his demonic heritage. How would things differ? Well, there'd be quite a lot of differences. So I'm going to be basing this on Champion Analysis video, several videos of him discussing what these characters would be like because I completely agree with Champion Analysis. So let's first talk about Virgil. Virgil would be the main protagonist now. He would be the main guy. Would he still crave power? Not in the same sort of way. Instead, he would simply want to handle things by himself. His sort of form of power would come over the control of some people, but not in a really, really super controlling way, even though he'd be a bit of a control freak. It's not like an antagonistic way of controlling. He controls to save other people because he doesn't want other people to suffer like he did because he saw his mom die. His business, by the way, Devil May Cry, would be incredibly efficient and very, very well done because, unlike Dante, Virgil is much better at these sorts of things. Let's be real, Dante in canon is a bit of a very bad business owner. He's pretty freaking terrible at his job at keeping everything afloat and everything. Virgil, however, no. Devil May Cry would be a very profitable business. So, with him wanting control, he would not sell any of the double arms he would collect, he would keep them, and all of that good stuff. He would be a fairly normal person other than him wanting to do everything himself. He would be a big loner. He would want, to handle all the demon hunting by himself. But then he would meet Lady, and things would change a little bit. He would start to open up a little bit. And then Trish as well. So he would let these two also handle some jobs of their own because, well, Trish is a pretty powerful demon, and Lady is very skilled, even though she's purely human. The fact that Lady be purely human would sort of make Virgil a little uneasy about letting her go wild, but at the same time, seeing her fight, he's like, alright, she can obviously handle herself, but I'm here just in case. As for weapons that Virgil would use, I think he would mostly just use Yamato. He could use Beowulf. He could use Force Edge. And how would the double arms change? I think Nevin might be either cello or some sort of classical instrument. I don't think it'd be electric guitar. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. So, Virgil would be a man that would value his humanity and want control to protect humanity. He would want everything done his way. And his whole arc would be letting people do things on their own because they can handle themselves. Virgil would need to learn that lesson. Now, what about Dante? Dante is a completely different devil. So, Dante never had a crave for power. Ever. He didn't even really care about power at all. So, how would this change him? How would this traumatic event change him where it was only his demonic heritage that saved him and his mom effectively abandoned him and Virgil never looked for him? He felt so alone. Alright. He would crave freedom. And this is another thing I super agree with Champion Analysis. Dante is a thrill seeker, and he would want nothing more to seek thrills. Screw whoever gets in his way, he doesn't care. His ideology would be either people adapt or die, just as he did. And this would make Dante, I think, a bit more of a threat than Canonical Virgil. Canonical Virgil was very goal focused. He was very focused on what's next. Dante would have no focus. He would be all over the place just doing whatever he wants. So he'd be a lot more chaotic and potentially much more dangerous. I could still see him getting Ebony and Ivory, but probably in a different way. He would also hold on to the rebellion for his life because that would be like his only sort of connection to his family or something along those lines, something sentimental. The sword would mean a lot to him. So Dante's whole character arc would be him wanting nothing but ultimate freedom. And he would see that power is freedom. And he would do anything he can to get stronger. And him clashing with his brother, who would want to control Dante, to basically say, brother, you're an idiot, please calm down, we have to protect humanity. And Dante would retort, no, we don't have to protect humanity. Either they survive or they die, just as I did. Yeah, Dante would. An evil version of Dante would, I would say, is more dangerous than canonical Vergil, just for his personality. A free spirit acting like that, yeah. Especially someone with absolutely no goal focus, yeah. Anyway, so how would the events of Devil May Cry 3 happen? Well, there's already a video on Champion Analysis YouTube channel, and I don't need to change anything. I do wish he went over some more character interactions, like how Vergil would interact with some of the bosses. Here's how I think Vergil would interact with some of the bosses. He would insult them, but in a very elegant way. Sort of maybe a better than thou mentality. Sort of how Dante does it, but it would be a lot more elegant and not as, smartassery. But it would be in its own smartass way, but a very Shakespearean smartass way. Maybe Vergil could even pull out the book and read off William Blake. That just could be a character trait that he has. He would hold on to that book. So, yeah. All right. Now, with all this set up, how would the story play out? Well, things would be similar but different. Dante would be Neil Angelo in Devil May Cry 1. Vergil would be pretty depressed in Devil May Cry 2. I don't know how he would interact with Lucille. I think it would be very similar. I've not watched Devil May Cry 2 cutscenes in a long time. Maybe she would join, maybe she wouldn't. I don't know. Also, where is she, by the way, in canon? Where'd she go? I kind of want to see her again. It'd be cool. I also want Trisha and Lady to be playable, but regardless. So, with all that being said, Devil May Cry 2, nothing really would change. Devil May Cry 4, you might be thinking, wait, the Order of the Sword wouldn't have Yamato. How would they open the Hellgates? How would they, all of that good stuff? I still think it's possible. Agnes is a smart dude. I think he would be able to figure out a way to use Rebellion, because I think he would have the broken Rebellion and not the broken Yamato, to open Hellgates. Now, you could be saying, Rebellion's initial purpose was not to do that, but it is a powerful devil arm. Rebellion is a very powerful sword, but I still think it could work. So this also brings the question, is Nero Dante's son? More than likely, realistically, yes. Although it is possible that Vergil visited Fortuna himself to investigate, because I feel like Vergil would be a lot more active when it comes to his double hunting. He would see the Order of the Sword and be like, okay, there are cultists worshiping Sparta as a god. That's not evil, but what else are they up to? He would investigate, and Morrison would investigate. Everybody would investigate that. So it's possible Devil May Cry 4 would still happen, but in a much different way. I don't think Dante would encounter Vergil, by the way. I don't think they would cross paths. So if we're going completely realistically here, then yeah, Dante would have a son being Nero. But it is also possible that Nero is Vergil's son still. And if Nero is Vergil's son, I think this version of Vergil would actually raise him himself. And Nero would be quite possibly more powerful than he is in canon. I mean, canon Nero claps Mundus, but I think he would be much more powerful in this alternate reality. So, Devil May Cry 4 is an interesting case. Let me know what you think. Would Devil May Cry 4 happen in the exact same way, just with Nero as Dante's son, or would things change? I think it would happen both ways. I think it would be both at the same time. Now, Devil May Cry 5, Dante has no way to separate his human and demon halves. So, at this point, he would be in pretty rough shape, and he'd be looking for anything to restore his body to get power. I think he would be able to do so. I think personally he would more than likely still be able to resurrect the Qliphoth. And if he's able to do that, then he would more than likely be able to get his Sin double trigger. So this game would be, Dante would be chilling at the top of the Qliphoth, waiting for his brother to fight him. in a one final stand against each other. Who walks out of here alive sort of crap. This entire time, Vergil is trying anything he can to get strong enough so he can defeat his brother. So, how would Vergil do this? Well, it's possible he would have the Sparta. So, if he has the Sparta, this would give him a bit of a power boost. However, what he could do is absorb the Yamato and the Sparta into him. I know this doesn't make a lot of sense because Yamato splits things. However, Vergil would have had this sword for so long that he would more than likely been able to use his own power within it much more in a way to where it's not just Yamato, but it really is just an extension of Vergil. So I know this is really weird, but I still think he could get a Sin double trigger this way and then fight Dante. Nero at this point, if he is either son of Sparta offspring, I think he would have his full double trigger at this point because Vergil would actually want Nero around. He would want to take care of Nero. He would feel obligated to do so. Maybe in a sort of a controlling way because it's still Vergil. He'd still be very controlling. But I think the climactic fight would still end in a very similar manner with Nero stopping both of them and them going into the underworld to stop the Quad fight. So would Dante be redeemed at the end of everything? Partially, just like Vergil in canon. So this is just my headcanon. This is off the top of my head. I did take some time to think about it, but I didn't really write anything down. I didn't really, mull over everything, to an extent, to, high extent. So if their positions were switched, the story would play out very similarly. However, there'd be a lot of differences. Going back to Devil May Cry 2, with Vergil being depressed, I think he would be very similar to his canon counterpart, but not just not the power hungry part. He would just want all this nonsense to stop. And yeah, Dante in Devil May Cry 2 is acting that way because he is hella depressed. He thought he killed his own brother. Yeah, that's gonna screw anybody up. It'd be the same with Vergil. So that's just my personal thoughts, basing it off of Champion Analysis videos of him going through Devil May Cry with Vergil and Dante's position switching. And I think by the time Devil May Cry 5, I think Vergil would be a lot more open. I don't think he would act like Dante at all. But that's just my 2 cents on it. I'm curious to know what you guys would think of this if anybody gives a crap. And if anyone shares in the comments. Also, if Lucille does appear in this hypothetical what if, what would she do? Like, she's powerful, right? Like, what would she do? Anyway, all that being said, there's one more thing. I do think it's possible that Dante and Vergil's final fight doesn't even happen. Here's why. In a different way you might thinking. Vergil, I think, could convince Dante to stop all this. But you could also say that Dante's probably too far gone for this. But it is possible with Dante's free spirit that he'd be a lot more open to sort of change things, to sort of want to go back to the way things were. He still would not be a good person, but it's possible that Vergil wouldn't even have to fight Dante. Anyway, that's just my last thought on this. I hope you enjoyed this open discussion. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, in Trilby, we trust.